I suppose as the draw goes, it is quite favourable for South Africa playing New Zealand at home, just just with 3 rounds.
Right.
And in a World Cup year, perhaps the Rugby Championship, not a lot of novelty, in next year's tournament. But we've spoken about this previously this year. This whole issue of or perceived sort of snubbing that Newlands gets. Is it because there's a lot of support down here for New Zealand teams? Is it because we like to play New Zealand at altitude and generally have a good record at Ellis Park? Do you think that this has all been taken into account, or there's sort of more to this?
Yeah, well, okay, going back to your first point, obviously with this shortened version of a Rugby Championships in a Rugby World Cup year, the best case scenario is 2 matches at home, 1 away. So we've got the 2 matches at home. We play the All Blacks and Argentina. I think it'd be asking a bit too much had we got the All Blacks and the Wallabies. So we have to travel to Australia to play our one and only away match. So it's a dream draw for South Africa, building ahead of the World Cup. If they can knock New Zealand over in South Africa a couple of weeks before the World Cup, I think they'll give them fantastic momentum heading into the World Cup, probably more so than beating them this year did, because we went on to lose badly in a couple of end-of-year tour matches. So, definitely next year's match at Emirates Airline Park will be key to our chances, I think, in the Rugby World Cup. Your second point, the Cape Crusaders, who have, for years and years now, sort of supported the Crusaders in Super Rugby. Then, because the Rugby Championship, the Super Rugby changed so much that you play them at home in alternate years, that those Cape Crusaders became sort of New Zealand fans. Whoever came to New Zealand, even to South Africa, wasn't sort of the Crusaders themselves. They sort of got behind the visitors, which sort of angered a lot of the locals in Cape Town. I know Saru weren't that pleased as well. I think Western Province Rugby Union have done their best to sort of rid that element from Newlands, but they have amazing support. I've even been to practice sessions that the Chiefs and the Hurricanes and the Blues and Crusaders obviously held in Cape Town, and the support that they get, more so than when the Springboks when one of the Stormers teams practice, is quite amazing to see. So that we obviously don't want to give the advantage away, of playing at home. Whether you're ever able to eradicate that 100%, I doubt, to be quite honest, because there are a lot of New Zealand fans, because they play an amazing brand of rugby, both their club sides and their national team. So again, at the PE Sevens, for example, this weekend, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of support for the New Zealand Seven side as well. So I think they're looking to do away with that sort of support for New Zealand, take it up to Ellis Park, where we have a good record, take it to altitude, which probably doesn't suit New Zealand as much as it would down at the coast. Play them up there. Ellis Park's sort of like a home ground, even though it's not the best supported ground, it's not the biggest ground anymore. If we're looking to sell out 90,000, we should really be going to FNB Stadium, for example. So I'm not too sure why they've got it for now. It'll be 3 years in a row. Obviously this year we won only thanks to a Patrick Lambie penalty in the dying minutes, so it could have been a couple of losses on the trot. So it's difficult to point at history favouring in recent times. Obviously we're all thinking 95 Rugby World Cup final when we beat them there, but that's been almost 20 years now. So totally different teams and players and the like. So yeah, look, sorry, obviously not doing the Cape any favours at the moment.
Karen, talking about this perceived sort of home advantage for New Zealand sides, I just want to read out a tweet from just some more social media reaction. Tudor Caradoc-Davies, he's a seasoned freelance writer, and he makes a good point, saying the All Black test at Ellis Park in 2015, as Cape gets ignored again. The last All Black test in Cape Town was 2008. To be number 1, Boks must win anywhere. So regardless of the kind of support or not that they might get in Cape Town, they should be able to, if you want to be a world-class side, win everywhere.
Absolutely, and that's a fantastic tweet there. 100%. If you think of the number 1 players, teams in any sport, they're able to win on any surfaces, home, away. It shouldn't really matter. The All Blacks, when you put yourself in their situation for a moment, they've won at altitude before, they've won at the coast. They know they're coming to South Africa to play in front of far bigger stadiums than they've got back home. But I can't ever imagine that they'd be upset to play anywhere in South Africa. When we go over to New Zealand to play, we take into all sorts of venues. They don't have sort of like, obviously Eden Park in Auckland is their sort of biggest ground. But we've played them in Wellington, in Hamilton, all over the show. So they don't seem as afraid to take it to bigger venues, smaller cities. We sort of we've got the altitude, which obviously they don't have. So we sort of play that up a lot. So and it's worked and it hasn't at times. They like the open ground, the hard ground, open running rugby, good conditions. So it could well backfire this tournament, and I don't think you want to do anything to give New Zealand the advantage so close to a Rugby World Cup next year.
Just to get some balance, those in favour of this schedule that's been announced, Simon Borchardt of course, he's the editor of SA Rugby magazine. Just saying Ellis Park gets All Black Test again in 2015, but it will be rotated again from 2016. He feels it should always be at Ellis Park, I guess, sort of based on the recent win there. And then, of course, now the Emirates Lions, as they are now called, after getting this big sponsor. We are ecstatic to announce that Emirates Airlines Park will host the 2015 Rugby Championship match between the Springboks and All Blacks. Of course, they're very chuffed about that, and their coffers and all of that will be smiling, so it's great for them financially.
Fantastic sponsorship that the Lions have managed to land. They've been really, really good in Super Rugby this year, and the Currie Cup reaching the final there. 5-year sponsorship, renamed the team, the stadium itself, lots of money. They might be able to entice players back to Johannesburg. They pretty much, I think on average, have poor crowds for the domestic tournament. So I'm sure they'll sell out an All Blacks test, but whether they deserve it, again, 3 years in a row, plus the year before being at FNB up in Gauteng, I'm not 100% sure, but good for them.